Okay, I'm sharing the takeoff sheet here with Red Rhino again. Next on the list is a GFI, I should say a 20 amp duplex weatherproof GFI. Okay, so again, it shows assembly catalog, commercial, industrial, 14 receptacles. Now we're already on 14 receptacles, but we're going to go look under a new category. Again, the description of this is it's weatherproof. See the WP, that's what that stands for. There was one weatherproof GFI. And now I'll show you how to input that. Okay, weatherproof receptacle assemblies are in the same category under 14 receptacles here, but over here on the left you see that there's a category for weatherproof. 14.3 is what it is currently, so I'm going to click on receptacles, weatherproof, and it's going to display weatherproof receptacles. Now, again, what's important is we find the right assembly here. Now, I'm going to scroll down real slow and show you what that is. See, we have a receptacle GFI. Here's a 1-gang GFI receptacle, 120 volt, weatherproof. Now you don't know this by looking. You'd have to input this receptacle assembly to know this, but I happen to know that that assembly right there is going to be a bell box with a bell box cover. We want the one that's a framed receptacle with a weatherproof cover. Look at here, 42A. Let me scroll down a bit here. 42A says it's 1 GFI frame wall receptacle, 120 volt, weatherproof, and the designation here means that it's a wall mounted box. Okay, so we're going to input that one. So I'll click on it. Oops. Well, I didn't mean to do that, but you know what? When you do click on the names of these, it does show you the components in the assembly. I didn't even mean to click there. So now you know. If you click on the name of the assembly, over here on the left, it will show the contents in it. Now, to close it, you have to click the little red X. Okay, let me go on and just put one of these assemblies in. So I'll put in a quantity of 1, scroll up to the top here and click Add. Let me move this back over here a little bit and click Save. So in this instance, what this did was it input the 4S box, the ring, the hardware, the mounting hardware, the receptacle, and a weatherproof single receptacle cover. Okay, so that's for that item. Next on the list is a data stub up. Now to the right, it shows there's a quantity of 5 of them. I'll show you these assemblies. These are really slick. And it's assembly catalog 200. That's always commercial industrial, okay? 55 phone data stub up. So a quantity of 5 phone data stub ups. Show you something here. When you're in the product catalog or assembly catalog in Red Rhino, you can click the little negative sign to collapse the menu. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to collapse the menu for receptacles by clicking the little negative sign here. And I'm going to go down to 55 phone data stub up. Now this doesn't have a plus sign next to it. That just means there's no subcategories. I'm just going to click on it and it'll display the assemblies at the bottom. Now I'll show you specifically which ones I'm going to put in here, but just notice this. Notice that it has an assembly with a 1-gang ring with a pull string, okay? Just a ring with a pull string. It has a 2-gang ring with a pull string, and so on. There's several assemblies in here. Look at this one. It's a 1-gang ring with 10 foot of 3/4 inch EMT. Read through these yourself. Come input some different ones so you understand what's in here. Now, in this case, I'm looking for one with a 4S box, a ring, and 10 foot of 3/4. So here's a 1-gang ring with 10 foot of 1 inch. Right above that is 2-gang ring. Again, these are still in the rings. I'm looking for a 4S box. So here's one, 4S deep box, 1-gang ring with 10 feet of 3/4 inch EMT. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to go put 5, a quantity of 5 in here. Now I'm going to scroll up and click the Add button. It'll populate to the right. Let me click Save, and we'll go over description. Okay, now see how fast and easy this is. Look what the input, or I should say, look what the outcome is from inputting that assembly. It shows the description of the assembly here. Line 20, it shows a 4S deep box with certain size knockouts here. We input 5 of them, 5 assemblies, so there's 5 of those. 5 plaster rings, 50 feet of 3/4 inch EMT, set screw connector for the box, conduit supports, 70 feet of 1/8 inch pull line. See, it put a pull string in there for you. And it also put an insulated bushing on the side that stubs out, okay? These are slick assemblies. Again, when you get used to using these, you'll fly through the input of these guys. Okay, next on the takeoff sheet is fixtures, okay? Now, without me telling you, just pause the video for a second, just see if you can figure out where the assemblies are for lighting fixtures, okay? Just pause the video for a minute, okay? The takeoff to the right shows 9 2x4s and 3 2x2s. Now, we're going to go input those at the same time. So over on the left, if you guessed fixture assemblies, you're correct. That means light fixture assemblies. I'm going to click on the plus sign next to 10. Now you'll notice there's subcategories here. There's recessed and surface mounted, LED and fluorescent. There's recessed incandescent, surface incandescent, exit lights, and outdoor fixtures. The best way to actually learn what's in these assembly catalogs is to go drill down into them and input them. Now we're looking for 2x2 and 2x4 recessed LEDs. So I'm going to click on 101 recessed LED. Now you'll see at the top here, they have different assemblies down at the bottom left, I should say. The top of that list, what I call a laundry list here, the top two items are 2x4 LED with parabolic lens and 2x2 LED parabolic lens. Now they have different types of lenses in here. Frankly, the labor that it puts out is going to be the same for 2x2s and 2x4s mostly, with the exception of if they're emergency fixtures. If emergency fixtures is going to display a little bit more labor. I'm just going to go put in, what would it say? The takeoff sheet says what? Read yours. It says 9 LEDs, 2x4, and 3 2x2s. Okay, I'm going to click add, populate it to the right. I want to explain something further about this now. We're going to show you later, I'm going to show you later about this. Notice how it shows the fixture here, the quantity, and it shows a 0 for the number of dollars for fixtures. You have to get these quoted, and you have to put the fixture quote into the estimate, and I'll show you where at a later video here, okay? So next we just want to go up and click Save. I'm going to scroll it back down so we can look at this. Okay, so see, we input both fixture assemblies at the same time. Let me explain something real quick about this. See how it shows the 2x4 LED? It shows a quantity of 0. Again, we're going to get that quoted, and we're going to input the quote into the recap. I'll show you that later. But notice it displays 0.63 hours of labor to install one of those fixtures. 0.63 labor hours, okay? That means it's just a little bit over a half an hour, right? 0.5 hours is a half hour. 0.75 is 3/4 of an hour, or 45 minutes, okay? So it also the output also was 2 ceiling wires, or they're called earthquake wires sometimes, for each fixture. Now, let's say a lot of times when we're bidding commercial, rather I should say public jobs, like for the state or county or city, they require one fixture, I should say one earthquake wire, one ceiling wire per fixture. If so, I would edit this number and just double it, okay? I'm not going to do that here, but that's what I would do if I had to. Let me just go up and save this, and I'll scroll back down. Okay. Okay, so back on track here. Again, so the rest of the input here, it shows 9 whips. It shows $3.85 material for each whip and 0.10 hours, 0.1 hours, not very much labor. And it also input the wire nuts for those. Here, same thing for 2x2s. It displayed the 2x2 fixture, labor only, the earthquake wires or ceiling wires, fixture whip, and wire nuts, okay? That's the way these assemblies work. Again, the best way to learn to use Red Rhino is to just drill down in some of these assemblies and go input a quantity of 1 over here and input it over on the right and just see what components are in the assemblies. This saves you a ton of time. Okay, now back to the takeoff sheet. The next item is a 1-gang and 2-gang switches, okay, 20 amp. It shows a quantity of 1 of each, okay, 2-gang switch and 1-gang switch. Now I want to explain something real quick. We have switches also in the assembly catalog, okay, under 200 for commercial. I'm going to just use the device wizard to show you how to use that. You can use wizards or assemblies to input a lot of these devices, stuff like plugs and switches, okay? So we're going to use, at this time, a wizard. That's something different that you haven't seen yet. So over on the top left, you're going to start by clicking on the wizards button. When you do, the wizards will populate on the left side. You'll see a lot of different wizards here. Go experiment with these. There's an alarm wizard, automatic transfer switch wizard, a circuit breaker wizard. Now, I prefer to use to input circuit breakers in a different place, but go play with this and see how it works. Okay, there's a bus duct wizard, conduit wizard. Conduit wizard is something you'll use a ton. Okay, now we're going to go right to the device wizard. I'll just click the little arrow to the right, and the wizard will open. On these pop-ups, you always start at the top and work your way down. If you see a Find button, you'll always want to click the Find button when you're done with the selections on the top here, and that's what we're going to do. So first we're going to input one gang 20 amp switch. We're going to set the drop down at the top for 20 amps. The grade we want to just be standard. See the different grades in here? Of course, there's no GFCI switches, but just click standard. And it asks for the plate and the box type, okay? So these are both plastic plates and frame boxes. Next, we're going to click the Find button. You always have to do this so it populates down below. Now, what it did was, see how it populates the different switches here? Now, this is another drop down that you're going to work inside of. See how it populates switches or outlets or twist lock receptacles or dimmers or J boxes. So this is kind of a list of all different, several different assemblies that you can input here. I'm just going to work in switches, okay? But if we wanted to, we could put outlets in here instead of using the assemblies, okay? So let me proceed with that. Okay, at the top under switch here, I'm going to click the drop down, okay? Now just take a look at these. It'll make sense what these are, but look at this first item is a 20 amp one pole standard switch assembly, or sorry, switch, okay? So again, we're using the wizard, but this is going to input one switch. Look, it says 120 amp 3-pole motor switch, 120 amp 3-way standard switch, and so on, okay? So I'm just going to click on 20 amp one pole standard switch. I'm going to populate it with that. Now on the takeoff sheet, it said that there was just one of those. So I'm going to put in a quantity of 1, click the add button, and it will populate them as parts and pieces down here on the bottom. Let me close the window and show you. I'll close the window and save. So we'll notice the output here, line 40 here, it shows about the same output as an assembly, doesn't it? So again, wizards are just another way you can input devices if you choose to use the wizards. So it input a 4S box, a plaster ring, mounting hardware, one switch, a plate, a pigtail, and some wire nuts. Okay, next we're going to go input or find the 2-gang switch. Again, we open the device wizard and set the settings at the top and find. So we set the settings at 20 amp standard grade. Next, we'll drill down in the switch drop down, find the right switch. Again, we're looking for a 2-gang 20 amp. Click the drop down. We're looking for a 2 20 amp 1-pole standard switches. Right here, 2 20 amp 1-pole. So this program has 1-pole, 2-pole, 3-pole, clear up to 6-pole switch assemblies or switch wizards, okay, and wizards. So I'm going to click on that, just put in the quantity. If there was 5, I'd put 5. There's only 1 in this estimate. I put 1 in the quantity and click add. Populates down to the bottom. When it populates, I close the window and click save. Usually when it saves, the screen flashes. Here we see, again, the description on line 49 is 2 switches standard grade. So this is interesting. It shows a 1/4S box, a 2-gang ring. See that there? A 2-gang ring, mounting hardware, 2 switches, 1 2-gang plate, and so on. So these I'll pause it there. These wizards make it super fast to input the materials. Hey, here's a tip for you. I recommend that you click save after each entry. If you happen to not, or let me say it this way, if you happen to go input 100 or 200 lines of materials in here without clicking save, and you happen to get knocked offline or accidentally go offline, then in that case, you'll have to go re-input all those materials again. So always just click save. It's easy to do that. Next, we're going to get into the Conduit Wizard. On the takeoff sheet, we see that there's an entry for 12-2 MC cable and 11 runs here. So it looks like it's 140 feet. Now the description over here shows Conduit Wizard. It shows Wizards and Conduit Wizard. Now we already opened the Wizard for devices. We're going to click on Wizards here, or if the Wizards are not already displayed here, you're going to click Wizards. In this case, they're still here. So let's just click Wizards so you know to do that if you need to. We're going to select the Conduit Wizard. I'm going to click here to open the Conduit Wizard. Conduit Wizard is something that just saves you a ton of time. Once you've done this a few times, it gets really easy to make these entries. Now, to that said, I already showed you where the training videos were, but if you open this Conduit Wizard and want to know what to do, you can click up here, this little camera, and click on that and watch a video how to use this. I'm going to fly through this. You start at the top with the Conduit Wizard always, and then you click Find when there's a Find button always. So we're going to click the drop down and find MC cable. Notice the different types of conduit here. PVC, GRC coated PVC, they call that Rob Roy. Some people call that Rob Roy. EMT, rigid, MC. There's our MC cable. I'm just going to click on it now. Now, with MC cable, it's a little different input than other types of conduit. You only need the type and size at the top. You don't need fittings, of course, because they're not EMT fittings. So you click the drop down that says size, and what you want to do is scroll down here past the 6-inch, and you'll see 14.2. That's 14.2 MC cable. 14.3. This is 12.2 with a control wire in it. See that? If you're needing to make drops to switches with control wires, you'd use that one. In this case, we see 12.2, 12.3. These are the two entries we're going to be making. I'm going to click on 12.2. Then I have to click the Find button to find that material. Now, MC cable is a lot easier to input here because you just need the total length of all runs here and the number of runs. The rest of this stuff doesn't matter or affect it. So in this case, we said on the takeoff sheet there was 140 feet and the number of runs was 11. So here we go. We're going to input the 140 feet here, 140. Number of runs, there was 11. Now with this, you just want to click Add. Again, don't click Add multiple times. It'll input it multiple times. Click Add one time. Now when you see the entry on the right, you can just minimize this wizard or just close it. I choose to minimize it because we're going to go back and input some more conduit. And then notice this. See how the program shows 12.2 MC cable with green ground? We input 140 feet. It shows the price per M here, like I told you. Conduit and wire and MC cable is priced per 1,000 feet. That's what that Roman numeral M means, okay? Now it shows the labor at something different, 1.9 hours, 1.93 hours to install per 100 feet. Okay, so again, using the Conduit Wizard, I'm going to click Save and just go back down. Here we go. Using the Conduit Wizard for MC cable. We're going to do that. We're going to input the 12.3. Go ahead and try and do that yourself. Pause this video and see if you can go use that Conduit Wizard, set it up kind of the same way I did, but use it for 12.3 MC cable, and there was 190 feet and 12 runs. Pause the video and try it and do it yourself. Okay, how did you do? I'm going to go reset this now, Wizard, for the 12.3. Let's see how to do it here. So it's already set up for MC cable because I just minimized it and opened it again. So I'm going to click the drop down. I'm going to find 12.3 MC cable and click Find. Again, with MC cable, you just put in the total length of all runs and number of runs. In this case, it's 12.3. It was 190 feet, 190. And number of runs was 12, 12. So I just click the Add button, populates to the bottom, and click Save. Simple as that. Next, we're going to go input the 3/4 inch run. Now I'll just say it, I won't show it this time, but the program shows, or rather the takeoff sheet shows, is 20 feet of 3/4 with 5 number 12s, okay, and 2 runs. Now, let me say it again. We'll open the wizard, we'll open the Conduit Wizard. We're going to start from the top down. We're going to start from the top down and look for EMT. So click EMT. In this case, we want to set up the type fittings. Okay, set screw die cast. Let me explain this real quick. Set screw die cast, set screw steel. Weatherproof die cast, weatherproof steel. That's your compression connectors or couplings, right? Those are your compression fittings. Weatherproof stands for, WTP stands for weatherproof. Then IS, I should say IT here, stands for insulated throat. If you need insulated throat fittings, then you choose those. I'm just going to set it up for set screw steel. And I'm going to set the size for 3/4 inch as shown on the takeoff sheet and click Find. Now in the training videos, we show you how to use this Conduit Wizard for feeders and branch, but in this case, we're just going to input this little bitty, two little bitty runs to stow up out of the panel. So I'm going to just fly through this. Guys, do watch the other training video, okay? So we're going to click the conduit application and set it for plus 10 feet. That means the conduit is above 10 feet off the floor. Next, we're going to put in the total length of all runs. In this case, it was just 20 feet. So we'll type in 20. The number of runs was 2. We want that so the program shows how many connectors are needed. Now, it's already preset at number 12 stranded, and I'm going to, in a second, I'm going to go input the quantity here. In fact, let me just do it now. It was 5 number 12s. But I want to show you something else. When you click the wire drop down, you scroll down and you'll see at the top is a 12 stranded and solid. Below that is some thermostat wire. Below that is fire alarm cable. See that? And then it starts into the copper wire. 16, 14, 10, and 8. And it goes clear up to 750 MCM, okay? So look this over. It has all different sizes of conduit. If you're doing grounding wire, it has bare copper wire here. You would select that. And it has aluminum wire if you need aluminum for feeders. And it has cable if you're doing structured cabling. Okay, and at the very bottom, just so you know, if you need a pull string, you would scroll down to the bottom and select a pull string. Now, I'm not going to populate anything in here. I was just showing you that so you know about it. So I'll just click away, and it won't input any other type wires. Okay, now what I want to explain here is wire makeup length. The amount of wire, this program inputs the number of feet of wire makeup that you put there. The wire makeup length is defined as the amount of wire sticking out beyond the end of the conduit to go to the termination point. Look, if you're coming out of the top of a panel, sometimes it might have to go 3 feet down to terminate to the circuit breakers. In this case, it's set for 1.5 feet. I'm going to make it 3 foot. So I just set that. Now, I'm not going to put elbows quantity because 3/4 conduit's bent in the field. If I was doing feeders, I would count those, and that's shown in our videos. I'm just going to click Add. I'm going to close the wizard. I'm going to go up here and click Save. Scroll down. Now let's look at what the input is here. Okay, notice that it input conduit, couplings, connectors, supports, and total footage of wire. Now, it shows all these items with labor and material cost and does your material extensions and labor extensions, okay? So see, we input 20 feet of 3/4. It shows the price of 3/4 per 100 feet, the total amount or the total cost for those feet of conduit, and the number of hours with extended labor. Okay, hope that helps. Next, we're going to go input circuit breakers. Okay, and look at your takeoff sheet. Notice there's 5 1-pole 20 amp circuit breakers shown on the takeoff sheet. We're going to go input that next in the product catalog. Okay, now when we left off over on the left-hand side, we left off with using wizards. So I'm just going to click the drop-down. You want to click the drop-down and select product catalog. Okay, I want to just interject a reminder here. In order to learn to use Red Rhino, it's really critical path that you watch our training videos. They're called video clips. You click on video clips. I already explained this, but to estimate commercial, you watch the videos down the left-hand side. For residential, down the center, structure cabling down the right-hand side. Really important to watch those videos. It'll help you get your mind around how this works, how to navigate, and make it fast. Now, I'm just going to drill down into product 8000, but let's look on the takeoff sheet. That's what it shows. Product 8000, 1015, circuit breaker termination. Let's go look for that. Click on product 8000. Can you find the circuit breakers at 11015? Take a look. I'm going to scroll down here. Click on, there it is, circuit breaker termination labor. Right below it is wire termination labor, something else you'll probably be inputting on many estimates. Click on circuit breaker termination labor, and it populates the circuit breakers. This is a time when I like to unsquinch this. Just left click and pull this over. Okay, so we're just going to go input a 1-pole 20 amp circuit breaker, and it's right here. But I want to show you something. It's important you know this. So if you just scroll down real slow, you'll see 1-pole, 2-pole, and 3-pole circuit breakers clear up to 3-pole 4000 amp. Look, any size, or any time I should say, anytime you have to input circuit breakers into an estimate, you always want to input them all right here at the same time. Usually what I do is I go to the panel schedule, I take off all the panels and I input them. I take off all the circuit breakers and input them. We have training videos on that, but just make sure that you go count all the circuit breakers on a job. We're doing a small example here of just 5 1-pole 20s, but you might literally put in hundreds of circuit breakers. Okay, so back to the subject here. There's circuit breaker termination 1-pole 20. I'm going to click in that box, and there's just 5 circuit breakers, so I'm going to put a quantity of 5 and click add. Now I'm going to scroll over here, and I'm going to click save, then we'll come back down and look at that. There we go. So guys, again, with circuit breakers, it does not have the material price in here. Now I saved this. I should have waited and input it. On the takeoff sheet, I showed that the cost of those circuit breakers is $18. Okay. Now, of course, if your price is something different, you would go input it here. I'm just going to click in on this line. I'm going to go up here and click on the edit button. And when I do, I'm going to scroll down. It lets me edit anything on this line. Now, the editing videos, or the videos how to edit this or delete anything, is shown in the video clips I told you about. But in this case, the price is $18. So I'm going to put in 18 here. Okay, now this says see quote over here. Let me scroll over. It says see quote. I'm going to remove the word see quote. See quote is a note to yourself to get them quoted and put the price in for the quote. But we're just going to populate. This is a small project. Let's say I know what the cost of my circuit breakers is. I put it in here, 18 bucks a piece. Scroll up to the top and click save. Okay, now we're getting near the end of this list, aren't we? How are you doing with this? Are you comprehending how this works? Do you see how using assemblies and wizards really speeds up the process? Trust me when I say when you go through this a few times and do it a few times, it gets really second nature, and you're able to really input this stuff very quickly. Next, we're going to look at assemblies. Here it shows a 4S with blank and a 411 box with blank cover, and they're both in Assemblies 200. So we go over here and click on the Assemblies button, click on 200 for commercial. Now we're going to look for 4-inch square boxes. These are assemblies. We're in the assembly catalog. We want a 4S box assembly. There's one of them that we put in here with a blank. So we click on it. Look here, it shows a 4S box with a blank cover, 1 gang ring, 2 gang ring, and light ring. So again, I just want one of these guys. I'll put in a quantity of 1, click add, populates to the right. See how similar this works? You just find what you're looking for, input it, and it shows the output of materials and labor. While I'm at it, without saving, I'm just going to go over here and click on 411 box, assemblies. And you see again, there's 411/16 with a blank cover, 1 gang ring, 2 gang ring. I'm going to go put 2 of these guys in, which is on the takeoff sheet, and click add. And then next I'll go click save. So now that time I made 2 entries, didn't I, without saving? It's safe to do that, but I wouldn't put hundreds of lines or even dozens of lines in there without clicking the save button. In the product catalog, it describes it as 7,423. You click on the drop down to get to the product catalog. Let me scroll up here. Click on 4,000 or 7,000 to open it. Go down to 423 wire nuts. Again, forgive me if I wasn't sharing my screen. a minute ago. Click on wire nuts. You go input the total quantity that you want. In this case, it was 200. You click the add button, and when you do, it populates over to the right and shows the wire nuts. Okay, so again, the next video is going to be on the recap portion of this, and I'll show you how to use that in another video.